Alrighty guys, and welcome back to this week's shrine. Now I'm going to be quickly hovering over to it. I haven't actually had a good look at the perks, and I just want to let you guys see, naturally by my reaction, how I feel about the choices of the perks that are going to be on this week's shrine. Anyways guys, without further ado, let's jump straight in and have a look at the shrine. Alright, you know what, right away I can tell you this is actually a pretty good shrine, okay? Now, I want to point out a couple of things. Some of the strong perks that are on this shrine are non-DLC perks, so you can actually get them just by leveling up people in the base game. So whether you want to actually invest blood points, iridescent shards, into actually unlocking them is completely up to you. So, let's jump straight on in. Now, this first perk is called Agitation. Now, Agitation is actually a phenomenally great perk, right? A lot of people undermine how strong this is. The better the killer you are, the more effective this perk becomes. Now, people do run Agitation with Iron Grasp and Mad Grit for a bit of a giggle, but at the same time, I used to run Agitation on my Nurse for efficiency and my Hillbilly as well. Now, unfortunately, I don't run it on either of them anymore unless I'm running Devour Hope on my Nurse. But that being said, what does Agitation do? It increases your travel movement speed with a survivor by 6, 12, and 18%. Now, in case you're unaware, let's talk about two different things real quick. A nurse moves at 96.5% base movement speed. A trapper moves at 115% movement speed. No matter what survivor they pick up, whether it's a Megan, a Feng Min, a David, Detective Tap, doesn't matter who they pick up, all killers will move at the same movement speed. So that means the 96.5% movement speed nurse will move at the same speed and 115% trapper and vice versa will move at while carrying a survivor. Now, with 3 stacks of agitation and carrying a survivor, you'll be moving approximately 107% movement speed. A survivor will move by default 100% movement speed while running. So this goes to show you'll be able to outwalk a survivor with a survivor on your shoulder. However, remember, you cannot lunge while carrying a survivor on your shoulder. So that cheeky person that's in front of you trying to bait you to hit them and then dead hards past you, you can moonwalk and M1 them. Happens quite often, even without having the need to run agitation. It saves a lot of time, and you guys will know time management is very important. It is an unlockable unlocked by the trapper at level 40. So its predecessor as well at level 35 is going to be brutal strength, followed by at 30 unnerving presence. Now, I would recommend this perk not to a new player, but to somebody who's been playing Dead by Daylight for a while. When you're able to catch survivors at a quicker rate and you can get them to hooks, you'll notice that it actually works really well. The more efficient and effective you are with it, the better off it's going to work for you. Nowadays, rather than running agitation, you'll notice a lot more killers will be going for like slugs. That way they don't have to worry about other people making different plays, so they can just keep mass pressure out doing that. Moving on to the next perk, we've got Dead Hard. Now, what does Dead Hard do? What is Dead Hard supposed to do, or what does Dead Hard do? Right, so Dead Hard allows you to avoid damage for 1 second and do a dash forward. You would have seen by now a survivor do it. Basically, they will put their arm out like this, they'll pull their head down, and they'll do one of these crazy little ducks, right? During that window, they take no damage, right? It'll also put them in exhaustion. It'll make them dash forward about 2 or 3 meters, right? It's a pretty cool perk when it works. I've noticed a lot of time on the dedicated servers, I get hit, it says Dead Hard goes on cooldown, but it doesn't actually work, and that just comes from latency as well connecting to the server, which is unfortunate. Dead Hard, in my opinion, is one of the most superior exhaustion perks in Dead by Daylight. Obviously, the most superior perk, period, is going to be Adrenaline. A lot of people would tell you Sprint Burst is better than Dead Hard, and you want to know something, if you think Sprint Burst is better than Dead Hard and you run Sprint Burst, that's great. We are always going to need people to run Sprint Burst. I personally prefer Dead Hard, but I do builds running both of them, right? For example, Dead Hard and Iron Will go hand in hand together, as opposed to Sprint Burst and Vigil, or Sprint Burst and Object of Obsession goes together really well as well, alongside Fixated works well with Sprint Burst too. Just depends on how you want to build your character. I personally like Dead Hard, allows me to recover from a mistake, it also gives me fast momentum, and allows me to vault a window at maximum movement speed, as opposed to Sprint Burst will do none of those things. Sprint Burst also, generally if you use it late, you'll have already initiated chase with the killer and allow them to build Bloodlust, unless you're looping them outside of chase by using Object of Obsession. Now, honestly, I wouldn't buy Dead Hard, based on the fact you can get it from David King, and you do unlock it pretty early on David King at level 35, followed by No Mither at 40, which I would not recommend to unlock, especially for a newer player. At level 30, you will get We're Gonna Live Forever, also known as We're Gonna Farm Forever, which will allow you to get more blood points. Therefore, I would highly recommend not unlocking this. That way you can get those other 2 perks, including this one, and you can save your iridescent shards for a later point in time, or for a perk that you cannot get through the base kit of the game, where you're going to need to purchase a DLC with real funds. Now, next perk we've got now is Hex Ruin. Now, this is what a lot of people would say was the best regression perk in the game. Now, Hex Ruin did get a bit of a rework not too long ago. I'm going to explain to you what it does. Basically, when a killer walks up to a generator and holds spacebar to regress a generator, it'll regress at 0.3% per second. Now, Ruin at tier 1 will do the exact same thing. At tier 2, it does 150%, and then at tier 3, it does 200%. Therefore, Ruin at tier 3 will regress a generator at 0.6% per second. A generator that is being regressed from Ruin cannot be regressed through Brutal Strength or through kicking a generator back. It will not be able to be regressed through Pop Goes the Weasel, but if a generator is currently being regressed with Ruin and you down somebody with Surge, it will still explode and take Surge regression on that generator and then continue regressing from Ruin. Therefore, Surge and Ruin has become a handy combo that some people have been running. That being said, I do like Ruin. I recommend Ruin on 2 killers. I used to recommend Ruin on prep killers like Hag, but now I'd recommend Corrupt Intervention on my Hag. I still do run Ruin on my Trapper alongside Thrilling Tremor, Surge, and Surveillance, allowing me to know when I can work on objectives, not to go back to certain objectives, when I can down somebody and not have to worry about going up to the platform. Also freeing up free time for me to get preparation throughout the board, which is going to be very important as a Trapper. I also do run Ruin on my Leatherface. If you've been watching some of my Leatherface videos, you'll know I like Ruin. I also like Surveillance. That way I use my Heartbeat to check generators, and I also have Nemesis Play with Food. Now that build is still my favorite, but can be integrated with the buffs that Leatherface has received, with multiple chainsaws being able to be chained together to enhance your movement speed as well. Now, would I recommend buying Ruin? Well, it is a DLC unlocked by the Hag. I believe console might get the Hag for free, but I know on computer you do not get the Hag for free. Therefore, I would highly recommend purchasing this out of the shrine, right? It is a luck-based perk based on the fact it'll appear on a totem. Any survivor that is not currently working on a generator that has any work done on any generators, the generator will always be regressing. So to keep a generator from stop regressing, you need to work on it all the way until it's completed. One person on a generator will take 80 seconds. 2 people on a gen will take 47.5 seconds, for example, provided nobody lands a great and nobody has any form of enhancements as well. So pointing these kind of factors out, it is a luck dependent perk based on you might get a good totem placement, you might get a bad totem placement. I still do highly recommend unlocking it. If you're new to the game and you're like, hi, I don't have any perks, I don't have any DLCs, Ruin is always a great choice. Corrupt Intervention is a better choice for consistency and will help you become a better player in the long run. However, I still personally do use Ruin on 2 of my killers as opposed to the majority of my other killers. I will currently be running Corrupt Intervention or none of them, depending on how good map pressure they have as well. So, hand in hand, yet again, said it, I would highly recommend unlocking Ruin. It is a Hag teachable, so is Devour Hope at level 35. This is level 40 teachable, alongside Third Seal at level 30. Anyways, definitely unlock it, whether you're a killer main or a survivor main. A highly good investment. Only time I'd unlock Dead Hard is if I've only leveled up Jake Park. If Jake Park was the first survivor I leveled up to level 30 and I wasn't going to level up David, I'd unlock Dead Hard. That way I could have Iron Will and Dead Hard as well, nice and early. Otherwise, I wouldn't unlock this perk. I would unlock it through natural means by leveling up David King. Alright, the next perk is called Open-Handed. This is also a DLC perk from Ace. Now, this is not a paid DLC. This is not a paid DLC. You can unlock both of these killers, or well, this killer and this survivor, through iridescent shards. Now, this is called Open-Handed. Open-Handed enhances your aura reading abilities by 4, 6, and 8 meters. Now, before anyone gets a little bit confused, there are aura reading abilities, and then there are abilities that give you a benefit. For example, Streetwise gives everyone around me a benefit to their efficiency with the item they are currently using. Open-Handed and Streetwise, I don't believe will stack. It doesn't stack at all because one won't give you aura reading. This specifically says aura reading. So based on that, this will work off things like Bond. Bond is an unlock by Dwight, which will give you a 32 or 36 meter circumference around you. This will add towards it. It'll also give everyone on your team the buff regardless of how far away they are. Commonly used with open-handed, remember it's 4, 6, and 8% depending on what level it is a rainbow map, or even a normal map if you're willing to add an add-on that is going to allow you to track killer belongings and Detective's Hunch from Detective Tap. It works really well. If you don't want to run all that stuff, you can run share locations of whatever you track on the map. That's a little, I think it's a purple add-on. You can, the silk cord or something, it's something you can put on your map, and you can also run an odd stamp to increase your range of your map. And now watch yourself spawn in with a rainbow map, take a 3 meter step, and you'll see a lot of blood points appear on the left hand side of the screen. Anything you track will give you blood points, and your teammates can track them. Very good counter to know it as well. But if you want to take the cheaper alternatives, you can go Detective Hunch with a normal map, and I wouldn't even recommend open-handed. I'd pick one or the other. It just depends on how much you want to invest into tracking killer belongings and these kind of things. It's kind of like a support role, but at the same time, you'll only really benefit from it if your teammates actually break the totems and you might be in a pre-made Swift. However, I can see value in open-handed. It does stack with Kindred, in case anyone's wondering. Kindred has a 16-meter aura. This will stack with Kindred, but if multiple people run this on a team, it will not stack multiple times from Kindred. So keep that in mind as well. I do like open-handed. I've done quite a few really fun builds with it as well. If you want to give it a go, by all means do it. Remember, you're going to need something that detects auras. It stacks with Object of Obsession as well, keeping in mind that detects an aura too. Alert goes the entire board, so you won't even have to worry about it if you were running it with Alert. I'm sure I might have missed one or two things in there as well, and I believe it's a crystal bead that I was referring to earlier. Anyways, guys, that's going to be all for this week's shrine. It's actually a pretty fun shrine. All in all, I love this perk. This perk's fantastic. I run it almost every game as Survivor. This is a really good perk as well, and you want to know something? Open-handed can be utilized too. I'm going to say this shrine is probably about a 7.5 or an 8 out of 10 based on the fact they all is a pretty good diversity group of perks, right? They're all different things. One's going to allow you to hook more efficiently, one's going to stall out the game, one's going to allow you to recover from a mistake, and the other one's going to allow you to have utility and support for your team. So all in all, guys, I hope you enjoyed this week's shrine. If you guys want to learn a little bit more about DBD, don't hesitate to pop into live streams. I do educational Dead by Daylight, Survivor, and Killer content live on Twitch. If you guys want to tune into that, I do it 5 days a week as well. If you think you know everything about Dead by Daylight, you can help me teach the people that don't. Anyways, guys, stay awesome, and I will see you in the fog in the next video.